You probably already watched other YouTube videos before to learn how you can stop biting your nails. But nothing worked so far and you still bite your nails. In this video I will share a technique that you haven't tried before, and hopefully by the end of the video you will be able to stop biting your nails. Let's dive in. Biting your nails is something you can't control. You do it without thinking, but when you realize, it's already too late. Like when we shower, we often think about different things and we do not pay attention to what we are doing. We do it automatically. Sometimes we may even forget if we used soap or not. It can also happen when we drive. If we are too focused on our thoughts, we drive in autopilot mode. Therefore, when we arrive home, we barely remember any details of the drive. This is because showering and driving are habits, and usually a habit doesn't require thinking. Biting your nails is also a habit, but a bad one. Because it feels so good to bite, it creates a craving desire, which makes it even more difficult to stop. To learn how to stop it, we need to learn a little bit more about habits. A habit is mainly split into three parts. The first part is the trigger, something we see or feel that tells our brain, hey, do this. The second part is the behavior, the action we do after the trigger. And then the last part is the reward, something that makes us feel good, typically a release of dopamine in our brain. As an example, you go to the kitchen and you see a plate of cookies. That triggers you to grab one and eat. When you eat, it feels good. That's the reward. That creates a pattern in our brain that cookies are good, so every time you see one, you will tend to eat it. The same thing can happen with chips. You can be talking with your friends at the dinner table, but if you have some chips in front of you, you will be eating non-stop without realizing. When you bite your nails, the behavior is pretty clear. You biting your nails. But what is the trigger and what is the reward? It may be different from person to person, but the most common trigger to bite your nails is a feeling. The feeling of boredom or the feeling of stress are the most common ones. If you think about it, it's probably when you feel the most stressed that you end up biting more intensively. By biting, you are creating pressure and pain in your fingers, and when releasing it, feel-good hormones invade your brain, dopamine. By releasing these hormones, you feel less stressed or bored. Now that we know more about this habit, what can we do about it? We already know that the trigger is probably boredom or stress. So, how can we change our behavior and deal with those feelings in another way? Meet Jack. Jack bites his nails a lot, mainly when he's working because that's when he feels the most stressed. Jack read somewhere that a good way to decrease biting his nails was by writing down every time he was doing it. So he tried that for the next couple of days. In the first day, Jack realized several times during the day that he was biting. He wrote down some of them, but he was so focused on his work that he skipped some. On the second day, the same thing started to happen, but he still managed to write down more times than the day before. By the end of the day, he was shocked with how many times he was doing it. On the third day, however, Jack was able to notice when he was going to bite before actually biting. He still took note, but for the first time he was able to prevent it. Over the next days, Jack had less and less notes on his book as he was starting to take control of his bad habit. This simple exercise is one of the best ways to stop a bad habit. By having to note down when you bite, your brain is now paying attention and more able to prevent it. This is the first step you should do to stop biting your nails. Let's see what Jack did next. Jack was excited with the progress he was making, but he didn't want to take notes for the rest of his life, so he reached out to a friend for advice. His friend asked, "Why don't you replace the biting by something else?" So Jack tried out different things to replace his biting behavior. First, he tried a stress toy that he could squeeze whenever he felt stressed, but that didn't work. Then he tried to do a deep breath. Whenever he felt he wanted to bite his nails, he took a deep breath in and a breath out. Inhale, exhale. He felt much better. This was the perfect replacement because he can do it anytime and actually feel better. He continued to note down every time and to do deep breath for a few more weeks, until one day he was at work and realized that he was taking a deep breath. He finally was overwriting the old habit of biting with the new one. Like Jack, I want you to find a new habit to replace the biting one. Try out different methods to help you deal with stress or boredom, like a deep breath or a stress toy. I hope this technique can be useful and help you even getting a little bit better. Thank you for watching, see you on the next video.